So I'd like to start today with a couple of questions for you. And first off with a request. I'd like for you to take a look at the clothes and maybe the shoes that you're wearing right now, or at least think about them for a second.
Yes, of course, and I think that's why you have invited me to your program.
Do you know who made these clothes?
Yeah, sure.
Do you know what that person was paid? If you're anything like me, the answer to that question is likely no.
So this is all what we are gonna talk about in our Saturday podcast. Welcome everyone to our first audition with Patrick Woodyard from University of Mississippi. I'm Agata Zawoj and we're gonna talk about a very serious problem of our today's world and generation. Okay, so clothes shopping used to be an occasional event, something that happened a few times a year when the season changed or when we outgrew what we had. But about 20 years ago, something changed. Clothes became cheaper, trend cycles speed up, and shopping became a hobby. Enter fast fashion and the global chains that now dominate our high streets and online shopping. But what is fast fashion and how does it impact people, the planet, and animals? Fast fashion is a term used to describe a highly profitable business model based on replicating catwalk trends and high fashion designs and mass producing them at a low cost.
As you might imagine, this has had disastrous implications for people, the planet, and even us as the end consumer. What I'm curious to know is, does it have to be this way?
The idea is to get the newest styles on the market as fast as possible, so shoppers can snap them up while they are still at the high of their popularity and then sadly discard them after a few wears. To understand how fast fashion came to be, we need to rewind a tiny bit. Before the 19th century, fashion was slow. You had to source your own materials like wool or leather, prepare them, weigh them, and then make the clothes. The Industrial Revolution introduced new technology like the sewing machine.
And this is the reality of the fashion industry today, an industry that has been completely defined by a lack of connection between the original producer and us as the end consumer. In fact, 100 years ago, you knew the name of the shoemaker in town, or the tailor or seamstress. You probably knew him quite well. And as late as the 1960s, 95% of our clothes were made right here in the United States. Today, that figure is less than 3%.
Clothing became a form of personal expression, but there was still a distinction between high fashion and high street. In the late 90s and the beginning of 21st century, low-cost fashion reached its zenith. Online shopping took off and fast fashion retailers like H&M, Zara, and Topshop took over the high street. Fast fashion's impact on the planet is huge. The pressure to reduce cost and speed up production time means that environmental corners are more likely to be cut. Fast fashion's negative impact includes its use of cheap, toxic textile dyes, making the fashion industry the second largest polluter of clean water globally after agriculture.
It comes to no surprise then that it's been estimated that the fashion industry is responsible by itself for 10% of the world's carbon footprint.
And as well as the environmental cost of fast fashion, there's a human cost. Fast fashion impacts garment workers who have been found to work in dangerous environments for low wages and without basic human rights. Animals are also impacted by fast fashion, by the toxic dyes that are released in waterways and the microfibers that are often ingested by ocean life.
Yet as my good friend Andrew Morgan asks in his film, The True Cost, who is bearing the brunt of the success of this industry? Well, that is the people making our products, the planet that we live in, and ultimately us as the end consumer. When it comes to you and me, the concept of fast fashion and these cheap prices make us believe that we're actually saving money, that it's good for our wallets. But actually all that's happening is that we're buying more.
Yes, I can agree with you in 100%, Patrick. And finally, fast fashion can impact consumers themselves, encouraging the throwaway culture because of both the built-in obsolescence of the products and the speed up at which trends are produced. Fast fashion makes us believe we need to shop more and more to stay on top of trends.
All of us can consume smarter. This may happen first and foremost by taking better care of the products that we own now, being so bold as to shop secondhand.
Thank you so much for your awareness speech. Unfortunately, I have to admit that I also contribute to this fast fashion procedure because I sometimes buy my clothes at Shein, Bershka, H&M, and Zara. Could you find out any solution to solve this problem, Patrick?
Knowing all this information, let's begin to work together to return fashion to what it once was. About people, about art, and valuing the producer and the planet just as much as we value ourselves as the end consumer. Thank you.
Thank you again. That was amazing how you made people know about this serious problem. I would like to thank you all for listening to our speech and looking forward to you to hear us again. Goodbye.